So my name is Matthew Arevalo. I'm the founder of a firm called Masterworks. We're a digital strategy firm that works with small businesses, startups, to do three primary things, one being social media consulting, the second being technology consulting, and the third being production management. So what that kind of entails is your usual social media profile creation, moderation, community management. Then the technology consulting, a lot of our clients are interested in doing things on the mobile platform or engaging an audience in really unique ways. So because we're always on the forefront of what new tools are out and stuff like that, we're able to provide them with that kind of content and strategy. And then the production aspect is I come from an entertainment background and I've done some things in the television and film space. So we've been able to work with our clients to do original video content as simple as things like this, live streaming or video, as complex to scripted web series that have like brand integration and stuff like that into it. Recently, well not recently, but one of the things that also differentiates our firm is social media analytics. So we have worked out a methodology for gathering all the social conversations that are occurring throughout a campaign and developing a weekly flash report on how that's doing and what's driving conversation, who the top influencers are, that type of thing. So the reason I started the firm was out of a passion of wanting to work with creative individuals. I think that I'm fairly good at coming up with creative ideas, but I'm not a creative director or an author or a musician or anything. But I'm very passionate about art and music, film, technology as art. So I wanted to find a way to help infuse those projects with the business strategy, social media consulting, and technology resources that maybe they wouldn't have access to. So I started off like managing bands when I was younger. So I was like, oh, you're awesome. Like, what are you doing to get your band? Are you on iTunes? What's that? I'll help you with your press kit, doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then kind of naturally progressed to working with film students, so on independent films. And then as we saw this incredible growth of independent television, I started focusing on working with filmmakers who, instead of producing an independent or created an independent film, and then maybe 5,000 people will see it and they get a red carpet and DVDs, and that's all great. Instead, working with them to develop original series for the web. And what's great about that is it's transitioned now from just being online to video on demand, mobile, and .com. So I just sold a show to BET that originated as a web series and is now going to be throughout their digital channels. I'm also the producer at CBS News, What's Trending, as a social producer, where my main job is to develop the social research and analytics behind the stories that we're covering on the show, and then develop a overall community engagement strategy that occurs leading up to the episode, throughout the episode, curating live tweets, that kind of thing, working with our celebrity guests to kind of get them involved, and then after the show, working with our editor-in-chief and the people who are doing things on the blog, and making sure all that kind of stuff is disseminated via other social channels like Twitter and Facebook. So if we could just kind of go around and get some information from everybody of who you are, what you do, and then maybe what you're interested in learning more about, or that kind of thing.
My name's Alea Williams. My company is One Organized Business. I work with companies to help them become more efficient and organized in their space with their technology, all of that kind of stuff. But I also get a lot of requests about social media because of what I do. And I'm interested in learning a lot of things, but this social producer thing that you're talking about sounds really interesting. So I'd definitely love to hear more about that.
Cool.
Hi there, I'm Liesl Chang. I am head of operations for Circle Street. We're an LA-based startup. We are a local ad platform. We work a lot with very large brands like McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, those guys. Those are the kinds of guys that we are actively seeking to work with. what we help them do is really target and find people at the very local level. We also have a trigger-based system, so the idea is that they can easily message in and out in real time if they need to, which has become very, very important in the retail space, and especially with all the technology now that's kind of coalescing in the space. Part of the reason I wanted to talk to you is because I thought there was some really interesting things that were written here about how conversion is really important. That's something that we're definitely keeping our eye on, because for retailers, especially at the local level, they look at conversion, they look at those raw sales numbers,
Sure.
and it's not just about getting your brand out there, even though that's really important. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts.
Cool.
My name is Natalia. Clearly, I work at CallFire. And I do just marketing there, biz dev, anything that's around marketing, startups, so lots of different things. The challenge for us with social media has been how to target the B2B space, or as a business, how to target other businesses. We tried things like promoted Twitter when they were doing their beta, and it was just very difficult to target that business user using social media. So I think that's been our biggest issue. We usually try and sort of stick to things like AdWords and that kind of advertising because it's been easier to target businesses that way. But that's what I'm curious about, what's been successful in the B2B space in terms of social media.
Cool.
I'm Jen, and I own a company called Knock Knock. We create witty gift and stationery products and publish books, and we sell them to stores like Urban Outfitters and Barnes & Noble and boutiques. And so essentially we're a consumer good, and we have a pretty loyal audience that we're really delighted about, and have a social media presence, not much of a strategy, and I'm curious about the return on investment and about engagement. And it seems that our social media presence is really just about community, not really about sales. And should there be a relationship? How are we measuring it? How can we measure the efficacy of what we're doing?
Cool. Okay. Well, I can talk. Start with talking about that social. So and the business aspects around it. So we don't go into any campaign without actual business objectives in mind. We don't work with clients that we're going to get you brand recognition, or we're going to get buzz, we're going to get influencers and stuff like that. Our overall strategy is always to drive conversion in business. And so if you are a business and you're using social, using it for community growth and engagement and keeping people, spreading your message to their friends and stuff like that, that's all great. It's not that difficult of a transition to turn those members of your community into the type of influencers that will lead and drive to purchase. You just need to make sure that the overall strategy that you have in other areas other than social that are used to drive sales have social integrated into them, and that it comes across as very authentic and transparent of doing so. So a lot of the things that we do with our clients is, we do, if any of the other type of avenues that we use, whether it be sponsoring an event, producing a video online, all of those different things, we make sure that we're promoting all of that through social. So what ends up happening is, if you were doing something that your product was in a gift bag, or was something that was, part of like some kind of outreach that you were doing in the physical space, showing the reaction of people who receive that item, encouraging them to share their experiences online via social, is a way of encouraging other people to have that same experience through that purchase. So if your social content and your social strategy is, some of this stuff sounds very simple, but it works. If most of your social strategy is just really a feed of what you're doing or an event that you're going to and stuff like that, you're pretty much ultimately doomed to fail, because the people who are following you are just following you as if they would follow a press release or an RSS feed. There needs to be engagement on there. So if you have a particular thing that you're trying to promote, you need to share experiences, not just actual information.
How do you track that? Now, would that be, I assume it'll be very difficult to track that one-on-one conversations, right? But so is it more of a long-term tracking type thing? You see how sales would uptick for that particular.
You would analyze what's driving conversation on those channels. So
Okay.
there are tools that you can use that you can analyze the conversations that are happening and then find out what words or phrases are used most often. So from a sentiment analysis standpoint, obviously words like great, happy, all that kind of stuff are going to be there. But say you were launching a new product and you were launching it in a specific area, you would want to make sure that those conversations, those, New York, some of that, are being driven in that conversation. And that'll kind of give you those key points. And then you also can choose to be able to see, like via Clout, the tool that we use takes all the different conversations and then shows you who the top like 5 to 10 people are based off of their Clout score, or who are talking about your brand. And then we go after those individual people to develop, give them exclusive content and things like that to continue doing outreach. Now sometimes, yeah, we'll do as simple as just send them a message directly as the brand and say, hey, thanks a lot for following us. Follow us back so we can send you some information. Well, obviously they are following, but sometimes they don't by the time we get to them in the next week. Sometimes you'll see Clout scores that are overly inflated by someone just gaming the system. It's just some random person. It's not going to really work out. But if you don't have the budget or the resources to purchase lists of influencers in Los Angeles who are foodies and stuff like that, then you should be obviously targeting the influencers who are already speaking about your brand. And you need to empower them and encourage them and give them the tools to be able to spread that message. So Clout does a really good way of doing this. They make it very easy to share with your friends that you gain access to a perk. That's something that's very easy for a brand to implement. Do you have an online store where people can purchase your stuff? So the ability to share that I just got, each one of your product pages should have a social sharing button on there. So that's great. And so that you can share the experience of that. People don't want to just sit there and just like, oh, this product is great, I'm going to bookmark it. They want to bookmark it and share it with their friends so that they can show their friends what kind of things they're interested in. Like, on my Twitter feed, if you follow me, sometimes it's stuff that I'm just, vacations I'm interested in going on, some of that kind of add context to it. But then when I actually say that I'm really excited about this product, because of the authenticity and the way that I craft my tweets, people are like, oh, this is great. But it also is real. Like if I say I used CallFire and it was really awesome, they know I'm not shilling for CallFire. Like I'm there for a reason. Finding ways to, contests and stuff like that are great. They're the lowest hanging fruit to do. We do like retweet to win type things. One of the things we're doing is we're launching a new business in Los Angeles called ZipMints. And what ZipMints is a community-powered courier service. So anyone who has a smartphone or a text-enabled phone who has some free time and a verified PayPal account can sign up on ZipMints, and you're a courier. So if you're a housewife or you're an actor in between gigs or you're just someone who has a part-time job and you want to make an extra $25, $75, $100 a day and you're willing to drive around and drop off a couple of packages, you can do it. So ZipMints, like shipments. So ZipMints. So one of the things that we're doing is at the launch event, we're not just like, okay, we have this hashtag and stuff like that. We're encouraging people to, in order to win this iPad 2 and this bag and everything, we have a couple computers set up there for them to literally sign up to the service, and that's how you get a free drink. It's like you sign up for the service, you get a free drink. We use social network enabled everything. If we have a photo booth, that photo booth better be able to, from the booth, share to Twitter and Facebook right there, or we're not going to hire that person for that event. If we're doing some kind of outreach via, one of the things, sorry to keep coming back to you, but it's just easy on the top of my head. The type of audience that you're trying to reach are people who are interested in pop culture and like funny kind of novelty type stuff, but that's witty and everything as well. So if you had some kind of way of producing original video content around it, that would be great.
We're launching that right after Labor Day, what we want our video program to be. We haven't done any video yet.
If you want to see a good implementation of that, take a look at ThinkGeek. So ThinkGeek will usually do one of your big customers.
Yeah, but they do a great job.
So they'll produce a video, along with the product and just kind of talk about it. Wired Magazine does this really good in their iPad app. They have like the most dangerous thing in the office video. And, of course, someone's probably paid them to promote the item and everything, but they'll show the use of it and everything. And those are like unscripted ways to kind of do it, or you can make like a funny skit or something around it. But we've now evolved to a society that no longer just wants to read a product description about it. We want to see it. We want to see testimonials. We want to get someone's experience about using it. So that's one of the reasons our firm focuses so much on the production aspects as well. It's like we say, look, not only are we going to run the social profiles, blah, 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 not only are we going to help you out from a technology aspect wise, like if you send us a logo file or something, we'll know we're not going to like, oh, we don't know how to do this, or we don't know how to do that. Like we can handle all the tech stuff, but we can also do the production. So pay us a little bit extra money, and we'll produce a video. We'll go to for Zipmints, we'll go to Umami Burger, who we're going to be signing on to. We're going to be Zipmints is going to power, that delivery service. For example, as a hypothetical situation, we could create a video with the owner talking about how great the service was. We can profile the courier. Hey, this is an easy way for me to make some extra money and stuff like that. And all that stuff is built into the overall social strategy. So with CallFire, you have existing users who have been using you guys for 3-4 years. As part of your 3.0 launch, you should be trying to, in my opinion, trying to find those customers that are camera friendly and asking them what their experiences were like and what are you so excited about with the new features of CallFire. And those segments have to be produced, right? So you need to make sure you have audio, you have quality picture and stuff like that. Unless you're doing something that you're trying to be viral or trying to be very fun, where it's just not really that big of a deal. But if you're doing customer profiles and stuff like that, those are the kind of things that when trying to reach, for example, a business-to-business customer, they want to see other businesses that are utilizing the product. And if they're just looking at a case study page, there's no reason why, with the cost of being able to shoot video and stuff like that, you should be able to get something together. You should be able to shoot something, invite them over to the office, have them have a cup of coffee, and just set up a DSLR and just shoot it. That kind of content is incredibly important for people to be able to get an experience of what it's like to use the product. I would also, with CallFire, be interested in doing an analysis of who are the people who are currently following CallFire on social. Are they people who are just interested in startups? Are they people who are interested in telephony? Or are they small businesses and business community? So one of the things that I pitched to CallFire was, for free, I'll do an analysis of who those people are, where they're located, what's driving conversation, and that might give you a little bit more of a sense of where to go. So some of the tools that I use are like Row Feeder, which is by a company called Simply Measured. Row Feeder, like rows in an Excel spreadsheet. We also do a lot of customized bit.ly links and stuff, so we can track where people are coming from. So we don't post anything on Facebook or Twitter that doesn't have a customized bit.ly link to it. It was really helpful for CBS because CBS is a giant corporation, and CBS News specifically, which is part of CBS Interactive, and then we have to make sure that we're reporting back to AT&T, Rethink Possible with AT&T. And then they have their own omniture and all that kind of tracking and stuff like that. But we need to do our own tracking. So we need to make sure that stuff that we're doing on social, so Bitly is free to use. So with Hasbro, we created a custom shortener that was has.ro. Actually, I think they already had it. And so we started using that to track where people are coming from, and it's another option of branding. So even if you just use bit.ly or j.mp, which is the same thing, use some unique, interesting ways of that for that custom name for that bit.ly link as another opportunity to drive action or to build a brand name.
So in your referring sources, it'll express the bit.ly link, not the translated link?
It'll express both. You can see the actual URL, and then you can see the short URL.
In Google Analytics and everything.
Right.
Wow.
But we also mostly use the Bitly analytics and reporting as well.
So Bitly has its own.
Bitly has its own back-end system that you can see over a course 7 days, 30 days, what the actual tracking was, and then you can get even deeper to see did they come from Twitter, did they come from other places? And that's
paid service?
That's all free.
Wow.
Yeah. I think the Bitly Pro accounts, or to be able to use the customized one, was more expensive, or they were charging for it to be able to use the custom domains. I don't remember.
What I find so interesting is that, your obviously you do social media, and then but it's also PR, which I think is what social media is anyway. You know, and it's redefining what PR is. But you're also getting into the whole market research realm, which has always been, in some ways, as you know, I worked in that space for a long time. It's always been sort of like the separate thing. I
Sure.
think there's a huge opportunity, it sounds like, because I think it's one and the same, and to be able to react right away to what you find from a market research standpoint and to make it actionable within the hour, I think
Right.
is really interesting.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's one of the reasons why. I mean, I don't think of Masterworks as this like groundbreaking company and stuff like that. But one of the ways that I know a lot of close friends, business associates who are all in social media. I was like, well, what can I do that's different? And I'm like, well, I have corporate business experience. Like I've run business teams. I've worked for Apple. I've worked for CNET. I've worked for security companies. Like I know what businesses are looking for, and they're not just looking for numbers. They want to see actionable results. They want measurable things that they can look at. So I was like, fine. If I'm going to create a digital strategy firm, I'm going to create one that our focus from the very beginning is business. So the proposals aren't just this many followers and buzz and stuff like that. It's actual business goals. And then I'm going to say we have the technology acumen and resources that we'll be able to self-report on how we're doing. Like, you know, and then we'll be able to change on the fly as necessary. And then we'll also be able to produce content of wins around it, you know, because we're a production company as well.
Right.
So I was trying to just like say, look, here's this like whole circle package of what we can do. Not only can we do the growth and the engagement, but we can also do the analysis and conversion monitoring.
Right. And, it's funny. I mean, we're kind of in different spaces, but not really. But, I'm very much in the local space. And one thing that has been a real hot button for us is being able to get real-time data and culling that in real time and execute against it right away. And, they used to be very separate. And I think now, people need to figure out how to react quicker.
Right. Because the conversations are happening in real time, right? It's not like an advertisement in a newspaper or something like that. And then you're like, okay, well, how did that convert based off circulation and stuff like that? I mean, people are talking about Biz2Beach right now,
We've heard about, the local media landscape, the quickest, and this is mind-boggling, the quickest real-time spot in and out on the local level is radio. That's like the worst media handful out there.
Right.
And that's the quickest thing that they can do, where they can actually spot in a message. And then you get to online, but no one, I don't think, has really perfected it.
Right, right. And we try and do some interesting things. You know, we believe in the power of networking and everything. You know, and so never eat alone, and always going out to do that stuff. So we make sure that we cover all the bases when it comes to it. You know, if there's a podcast where it may only reach 5,000 people when they broadcast out, but they have 5,000 loyal listeners and everything, and it's aligned with what the brand is looking for. That's social. If it's people who are doing check-ins via Foursquare and stuff like that, and we can work with them to kind of add a suggestion, add a location that says, hey, well, you might want to try this. We'll go after that. If it's somebody that has a blog where they're it's not through the roof, but we've measured that they are influential in that particular space, we'll go after them as well. So it's not really a shotgun approach of trying to reach all the different types of online media. It's a coordinated effort with a through line of a strategy and a business process that has to have kind of a management and strategy beforehand. Like there's lots of stuff that we're not good at. Like I don't have somebody on staff who can create really interesting flyers or online media or graphics and things like that. I don't have a traditional PR experience, so we're not very good at we don't have a list of 5,000 influencers in the publishing space or know how to like really quickly do stuff. So we partner with other organizations, and I think being able to realize that there's some things that we're not really that great at is the same way that brands need to understand, like, we're not really that great at social. Like, we don't really understand it. And there's no mystery behind it. It's just making sure that you have a clear cut strategy of where you're going to go and what you want to achieve.
They're so hamstrung by just sort of these large corporations that have layers upon layers of approval processes. I don't think that's very difficult to adapt to what social really is about. I think they're getting much better, but I just think it's not what they're used to. So,
right. And I'll be like the one of like a million people to say that like social media is converging with regular media and television, and online independent series is the same as other thing. We're going to see convergence and blah, blah, blah. But it's true, right? Like, I mean, we're not going to look at social as like something that's like, it's just going to be how we communicate.
Right.
So,
That's what the web's about right now. I mean,
right.
So,
Yeah. And we're very quickly there, right? You know, can no longer just be something that's bolted on as like an additional thing. It needs to be something that's thought about in the very beginning of the process across any vertical market, anything you're interested in. And you'll find some really interesting things. We do analysis for like the GOP candidates. We'll see like, you know, this guy has like 1 million followers here and 1 million followers there. Does that actually translate? It's like, no, because the majority of people on Twitter are female and over 35. So you know, this particular candidate, he's not going to get female voters because of, you know, whatever reason. And he's not going to get, you know, young, you know, that. So you see those correlations that don't really work out. We also analyze things like just on for fun on a project basis or for CBS News, you know, does box office buzz online, does online buzz generate to ticket sales? And sometimes it's totally different, right? You know, you have a Kung Fu Panda 2 versus The Hangover 2, and everyone online was talking about Hangover 2, it's going to be great, the trailer, all that kind of stuff, and it didn't do as well in the box office or didn't correlate as well to the online buzz.
So I had I had one question, and then I realized it led to another question. And my first question was going to be, how do you, if you were called in to evaluate the social media presence of a company, what would you look at, what would you ask, and that kind of thing. But then I realized that you'd said that you only work with companies for a specific strategic purpose.
Well, not necessarily.
I cannot come up with a specific strategic purpose for our social media. I mean,
well, no, your strategic purpose is to generate interest in your products that people purchase them, right?
Is that specific enough?
That's specific enough.
Okay.
You want people to buy your products, and you want
we have no way to link it.
Link whether things you're doing on social are directly relating to.
94% of our sales is wholesale.
Right.
So 6% is direct to consumer via our website. You know,
and is that what you want, or do you want the direct to consumer to grow? Well, I mean, you want your overall business to grow.
We would like the direct to consumer to grow. There's a difficult relationship between the wholesale and the direct to consumer because we're competing with our retailers, and so we'd like it to grow, but we also don't want to alienate our retailers. We want the best of both worlds, and so as it grows, we're just keeping an eye out for how it impacts our wholesale. So yes, absolutely, we want it to grow, and we're working on growing it. We haven't done much SEO, SEM stuff, and we're just starting to do that. You know, I mean, we're a small paper company, you know, so it's you know.
I mean, we work with
very sophisticated on some of these things, and we're getting there. But it is the sort of holy grail of measuring, you know, is there actual ROI on
well, I hate to say this, but I mean, sometimes the only real way to tie the correlation to is, did we have a strong social media strategy before? No. We have one now? Yes. Did sales go up? Okay. I mean, sometimes you don't have the technology or the resources and everything to directly tie, does like this order that came in, can we find out what tweet that came from? I mean, sometimes it's just, have we holistically changed how we're promoting and marketing our product? And has that been on social? Great. Is the type of conversations happening online talking about the experience of the product? Well, you can't experience the product unless you've either purchased it or someone has let you experience the product. So if your online conversation is driven by, for your particular case, someone's experience of using the product and interacting with it, then that's a way to correlate right there. And sales are going up. That's a way to do it, kind of a direct correlation between social and the actual business conversion. We do an auditing process with brands where we'll come in and, you know, all that data as far as what kind of conversations are happening on Twitter, what are the keywords in the profiles of people who are following you on Twitter. All that's public information. It just takes hours of data to go through it. But then I left it in there. I can show you guys if you're interested. But we then can create like a Twitter audience analysis report and say, look, we did one for the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Las Vegas. And it was like, these are the things that are in the profiles of people who are following you or conversation drivers. Lifestyle, music, Las Vegas. What was missing? Gaming, poker, this and that. So that showed us an opportunity to work with the people who are behind player development, gaming development at the Cosmopolitan and be like, look, you have 20,000 followers on Facebook, but gaming isn't really driving the conversation. They're talking about how awesome your hotel is. They're not really talking about poker tournaments or this and that. Like, is that something you're interested in? They're like, yes, that's what keeps the hospital, the hotel going. I'm like, well, then we need to rethink our, what you guys are broadcasting over social. So we can do an initial audit for like with CallFire. Again, I'd be interested in seeing, is it mostly businesses or individuals who are following? What is the conversation about when people mention CallFire? Are they talking about their personal use of it? Are they talking? Or is it developers who are talking about implementing it into their own projects? What is driving that conversation? We use tools to do that audience analysis, and we also can now show the breakdown between blogs, Twitter, and Facebook, and kind of see where those are happening.
So when you do an audit, do you have, let's say, 5 main prongs that you're examining in the audit?
Yeah. So it's if there is an existing social presence, then it's obviously the presentation of that. So, is there, if you have Facebook and you have Twitter, are you actively cross-pollinating those different things? Are you focusing on content that makes sense for Facebook and focusing on content that makes sense for Twitter? In your traditional marketing, whether it be items that go along with the product, whether it be a tag that's attached to it and stuff like that, in ways that don't seem odd or weird, are you promoting social, during those? If you put out a press release, at the bottom of the press release, are you mentioning follow on Twitter, Facebook, that kind of thing? Does your email signature have a call to action showing that you're on Twitter and Facebook? And not just the @ symbol and Facebook, like, does it literally say, follow me on Twitter, http://Twitter/Matt Arevalo? Like, you clicked through that? Yeah. And so, that's the
One area we got.
so one, that kind of things. Do you have a unique story to tell around social, or do you have something that you think will, we ask questions about, like, what are some milestones of your organization, and how might have those translated to social? So like I was talking about CallFire, people who have utilized the service in the past, and now this new thing is launching. That's the perfect opportunity to take those experiences and make them easy to share with others. And sometimes it's really simple. So, for example, for Zipmints, they had this guy who was a semi-truck driver, and he was in Chicago, and he was just like, I'm done. I'm tired of, like, driving around in a truck all day. But I like delivering packages. So he went and he got this, like, very, very specialized bicycle that has like a flatbed almost before the wheels, and he created a company called Chicago Cargo. And so he uses Zipmints to do all his deliveries and everything. So a video package was created. Well, that video, yes, if it resides on YouTube, it has the share buttons underneath it and stuff like that. But when it's on the website for Zipmints, are those same sharing tools there? Are there actual graphical elements within the video, so that if someone saw it outside of social, they knew that Zipmints has a social presence? For Zipmints, the hashtag is just zip it. They were using that for a little while, and so it's like, okay, there's nothing wrong with having it in the lower left-hand corner. It's just hashtag just zip it while the entire video is playing. Comedy Central did it for their award show. ESPN uses it, CNN uses it. They understand that, like, that being there on air or on the video is a way to just, people see that, they're like, oh, if I'm seeing this or I'm conversing about this, I should probably use that hashtag. So making it as easy as possible for people to share the content, to give their feedback on it as well. So we work with a lot of YouTubers as well, and they have this down to a science. They know how to do specific calls to action within their video to encourage feedback. So, well, they'll ask a question at the end of their video, like, my video was about bad dating, a bad date that I went on. I want to know about the bad dates you went on. So upload a video. Yeah, so upload a video, leave a question, leave a comment and stuff like that. We've actually been able to convince some of our clients to do the same thing. Even if it's a video that was event coverage or something like that. At the end of the video, if it was a package that was created for an event, at the end of it, have the host be like, did you follow the event online? You know, what did you think? Let us know. If there's another event you think we should follow, you know, just let you know. Second, right, and so seconds of that type of thing are interesting. You know, like with TechZulu, you know, they cover events and stuff like that. Asking for input from the community as to with how they feel about the event coverage or what kind of things they would like to see more of. Like the live interviews are great, but I would like to see more of this, that, you know, building ways for people to be able to give that experience that isn't necessarily driven towards comments on a blog or something like that, but actually building those calls to action and those questions and asking those questions via social is a great way to get some additional feedback about where to utilize those types of that kind of data into your campaign.
I think we're going to wrap up here. I don't know if you had any questions. You were pretty quiet.
When I met Jen earlier, I was telling her I've been a Knock Knock customer since the beginning, and I think that they do a really good job with social media so far. And I think for me, it's fun as a longtime customer to be more tied in with them and have it part of their experience because your products are so fun. And for me, like, I got their latest newsletter, and they make it really easy with the Twitter and Facebook links right in there.
That's great.
For me to tweet their latest newsletter. And I was telling Jen earlier, I had a couple of people who were like, I've never even heard of Knock Knock. This is awesome. I want to buy all their stuff now. And so when I originally found out about Knock Knock, I was buying the stuff in retail stores, but just being connected with you guys and the social media. Now I'm always on the website looking, you know, at new products. So I'm a retail customer and I'm direct sale. And so I think that you guys do a really good job of keeping things fun and like aligned with the brand. And I was in the Clout session before, and he was just talking about how, Garth was talking about how companies should pay attention to who's following them and their Clout scores and who's amplifying things. And I didn't realize this, but my Clout score happens to be in the 90th percentile. I had no idea. You know, I'm like, oh, it's all right. But, you know, it's like that means that people are spreading the message, and you probably have a lot of fans who are like that. And if you know that about your fans, you know what they're talking about, and your message will spread. I think my score's like 60 or 61.
68. Hey, it was hard for me to get that 68 because I talk about like walking my dog and stuff like that. Like, luckily I've been able. I think I went from broadcaster to pundit, and I think it's just because of working with CBS. But like, yeah, but like it's I don't know. We use Clout in our. And so, for example, for Knock Knock, what we would be able to do. Oh, sorry, wrap this up really quick. But it sounds like what you're doing, the integration is great, but not knowing who your top influencers are and stuff like that is something that you would be interested in. Yeah. So that's the kind of analysis that we do, is that we will say, here's the top people who are mentioning your brand, mm-hmm. here's the top people who are mentioning your brand based off of Clout Score influence, mm-hmm. and here's some type of people that you should target. So you probably would have been able to easily find her by just saying, you know, anyone who's following Knock Knock, show me the top 10 people on Clout, stuff like that. And so we developed that kind of analytics and reporting to make sure that your efforts in social that for Knock Knock sounds are doing really well are actually getting to the most influential people.
And there's another Chrome app, or I don't know if it's just Chrome app. I use it on Chrome, but you can actually force it to show you the Clout score of everyone in your Twitter feed.
Right.
So as someone tweets, you can actually see what their Clout score is.
Yeah, and that's great for real-time stuff. But when you're trying to get like a week's worth of data or like the past few days, but no, I use that extension as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you. That was very awesome.
Thank you. Don't clap, please.